Ashley, we good?
Okay.
All right. Welcome everyone that's here in the audience and that's live streaming to our special meeting tonight. We will discuss and look at each of our town committees in depth and have a rich discussion about how they operate and the benefits they are for the town. We'll call the meeting to order. Everyone please rise, face our nation's colors, and pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Item number 3 is approval of the agenda. It's a special meeting, so we're not adding anything. The only thing we could possibly do is delete. So we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Have a motion, second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. We'll go right into the discussion. Item A, which is the committee's overview, and that's under tab 1.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, if you just want me to give an overview of what this document is.
You can.
So this is, I would say, our primary recruitment document when we are looking to fill vacancies of the committees. And as you'll see, it outlines the member count, or a brief description of what each committee does and how many vacancies we're looking to fill. So that's what this first document is. And then the document that follows it is an excerpt of your rules and procedures that the board passed in January of this year, which outlines those procedures for the committees and the slight modifications that you all approved earlier this year.
Thank you, Ashley. I would like the board to look at the committee's overview, because I think in past discussions, we've had discussion about membership of each of the committees. Do we keep it at 7? Do we take the cap off? Do we increase it to 9? Or we leave it like it is? And I think this will probably be the opportunity for the board to open up our discussion tonight on membership of the committees before we actually go in to what each committee does. And we have some committee chairs here as well that may want to weigh in on some opinions that they may have for the committees. But as you can see, the Appearance Commission has 7 members. Cultural Arts has 7 members. Parks and Rec has 7 members. Prime Movers have 7. Historic Preservation Committee, soon to be a commission, has 7. The new Homelessness Advisory Committee has 7. Veterans Affairs Committee has 7. And the Zoning Board of Adjustment does not have 7. It only has 5 and 2 alternates.
I had a question about this when we were talking about having this meeting, and it just seemed like for a little bit there, every time we brought up the committee, we couldn't figure out that the 6 people, 7 people. I'm fine with this the way it is. I'm fine with the 7 and the 5 and the 2 alternates for the Board of Adjustment. I just thought we needed clarification. So when it comes back up, we're not sitting up here again, trying to figure out if it's 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with the 7.
Okay. Mr. Graver?
Well, I've served on a lot of these committees over the years, and this past, before I got elected, I was on the HPC. We had, I think, a full committee then, and when they worked, especially at Christmas time, the 2 of us that didn't work, we got straddled with doing all the work, like decorating the church, and it was bad on the other ones that couldn't take off from work and come and do. I just feel like we need to let as many people as we can get to be on a committee, but then only have like 6 or 7 that's the actual board that could vote. I just don't think the committees have enough people working that can work and do what the town needs to be done. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, Commissioner Craver, any other board member?
I have something to say. I think we have enough people serving on these boards sometimes. I just don't know how active some of them are. We thoroughly went through this, I think, 2 years ago when we were, we updated all of this information. Now, the confusion I think came in is when the newer committees, to include the Cultural Arts Committee, is designed when I am, for instance, a member and a voting member, and that is not the way that it is for these other committees. They are liaisons. So I think that was the difference. If you expand it and you get more people and you have people that don't show up for meetings, you will never have a quorum, which is still the issue that we have now with the committees at 7. It's always open for any citizen to participate in a committee and attend a meeting. They cannot vote. But anybody that wants to come to any meeting and wants to help out, they are certainly welcome to do that. I think that's kind of what we have now. That's what I think. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Craver, go ahead.
I understand what you're talking about, but if we put 25 on a committee, we wouldn't put the whole 25 to make up a quorum. The quorum would come in with the officers that they elect, and the couple of board members. That was where the quorum would come in, and not for everyone that's there.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Craver. Go ahead, Commissioner Swallow.
But I believe that comes down to the committee's individual bylaws as well, because, like, for example, on the Veterans Affairs Committee, I have the VFW and the American Legion. Now, right now, according to our bylaws, they are considered voting members, even though they are liaisons for those entities. But that can all be hashed out in the bylaws, not necessarily something that needs to be board approved, I believe.
Yeah, the bylaws be changed.
That's on the committee though. That's on the committee.
Okay, Chancellor?
One thing I'd like to add is if you're talking about the Board of Adjustment, which is mandated by ordinance, you do have 5 and an alternate. It's kind of tied to what Dr. McCray indicated and Commissioner Scarola. What if we thought outside the box, and if you have more people on that committee, but the bylaws mandate a certain number of voting members, could an extra 2 people, similar to Board of Adjustment, serve as alternate? So let's say you have 7 people on historic or appearance, only 5 are mandated, but one of those 5 are out. You have 2 alternate people that could serve that role of meeting a quorum. But if the 5 regular members are there, those 2 alternates would not vote. That allows us to still engage the public, to have people coming where you'll have a lot of people at the meeting. But if you have a lot of people at the meeting, but the 5 voting members are not there, one of those 2 alternates can serve that role. So you have a meeting, but you could actually take a vote on. It's just a thought that I was thinking about, because that's ultimately what happens with the Board of Adjustment. If someone's missing, that alternate comes into play.
Commissioner Swallow?
And, that is a good idea, but again, like our still main issues is, because if you look at that list that Ashley had read off, how many vacancies? I mean, we're still don't have people to fill those vacancies as we speak, let alone additional alternate spots. So, it's the struggle is real.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Lake?
excuse me, I'm on some steroids to make my voice sound crazy, but we have several of the chairs here tonight. Can we hear what some of their thoughts might be?
Yes, I was going to ask the board if we could suspend the rules and allow the chairs to come to the mic and just identify themselves. in the committee they serve on. Is that okay with the board? Okay?
I'm not a chair, but I definitely want to see it.
Doesn't matter if you represent one of the committees.
I'm volunteering. My name is Tammy Youngstead. I am the chair for the Appearance Commission. The alternate is already, when you have 7 members, whether or not you have a quorum, you always going to have 4. So even if there's only 3 members actually on the, and we still have to fill 4, you still have to have 4. So 4 people still have to show up, whether or not you have, now 9 will be different. Having more and more people on a committee just muddles it, I think. You're gonna, because then you got all these opinions, and then you're gonna have to whittle it down. I think staying at 7 and then trying to get the the community involved, you're always gonna have to struggle with that anyways, no matter where, anyway. But that's just my opinion. But like I said, the more people you add to it and try to get to do it, the more muddled it gets, and the more, and then you got all these opinions muddled into one.
So what you're saying, you feel like 7 is a good.
Yeah, I feel like 7 is a good enough number, or like Gurley said years ago, it used to be 9.
I tell you how we got to 7, because of 9. Years ago, King was on the same committee with us. We started out with 9. Every committee had 9. And let me tell you what, we never had a quorum. Never had a quorum. So we went back and reviewed it. We tried with 5. That's not working. We definitely didn't have a quorum. For some reason, we worked at 7, and we left the option to have additional people there up to each individual committee. So you can have additional individuals there. Problem that you're gonna have though, are they gonna have the right to vote? And if they do, you know what I'm saying? So that came into play. But we kept it at the original. We all agreed. And you'll look at the minutes. I think it had been 2016 when we came up with the 7, and we locked in and we stuck to 7. The 7 has been working. The problem is, I'm against with you. Some of the chairs, people don't like working with some of these people because they treat it as their own territory. The rules are written so that the bylaws are redone to make it user-friendly. And it's user-friendly, it really is. That's one of the best bylaws. We took us, 90 days to get these bylaws where they at now? And it's up to each committee to make it work. And all you gotta do is, if you build it, they will come, but you gotta build a committee that is healthy and fun, and most of all, productive. The hardest one to fill has been the youth committee. That's a tough one, because guess what? Young people are busy. They don't have the kind of time. They really don't, because they got time and they work. But the other committees can work at 7 with no problem. But like you said, more people's work. We did with the Veterans Committee. We also went out to other organizations. Hey, let's partnership. And we started partnering with other organizations, and we had no shortfalls. We worked together and we got things done. This one right here left me. I'm gonna get it back one day.
Really, what's your viewpoint on adding 2 alternates to the committees?
I would leave it up to each individual committee. That they can make that decision. We did that with
the American Legion and the VFW. Well, because every one of us are members of one of those organizations, we say, you know what? They might as well become voters. First to say, well, they don't live in Hope Mills. That's true. But guess what? The organization live in Hope Mills, so they get a right to vote. So you have to get back with Dan, because when you begin to fix your bylaws, if you put too much slide rule in there, you're gonna slide in a lot of problems. So you gotta make sure that we quantify it so that it will work for its intended purpose. And also, some of these committees have, and I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all got a lot of committees now. Some of those committees should be ad hoc. Serve a purpose. Once the purpose is reached, we've done that for years, and it was very effective, and we got the job done. So you look at that as well.
What Mr. Mitchell just said, brings up another point I wanted to discuss tonight. I know we're still talking about the membership, but I think 7 is a good number. I don't want this statement to be wrong. We're not trying to control it, but span of control is 3 to 5 people. So if you got a committee chairman, span of control of that committee is 3 to 5 people. You get more and more people on that committee, then you lose control of that committee, and it just goes. So I think we need to stay with 7, in my opinion. The other thing I wanted to say was, like Grilly said, some of our committees are out there floating right now. They don't have a lot of direction. So I think, and for years, I've said this too, I think this board, if we're going to appoint committees, we need to give direction to these committees. So they're just not out there doing any and everything. There's supposed to be advisory committees back to this board, so we need to give them projects. We need to give them direction, something to work on, something to work toward, to bring back to us. And if we don't have anything for them, I'm not saying do away with them, or, I'm not trying to keep anybody's teeth, but like Mr. Mitchell said, it may be here and there. So that's just something. But I just think if we're going to have all these committees, we need to task them.
Yeah, I would like to say that the prime movers, and I think I brought this up before, was a very good example of that. So almost everything that we did, we partnered with somebody, to include several organizations here. I think we almost partner with every other committee that is listed here. Red Cross, like you name it, we partner with a lot of organizations. In the last year or so, we ran it with like 3 or 4 people, not even that much. I'll probably say 3 with a check, and we're doing a lot of the work. And I like what Brian is saying with his cultural arts committee. It is more than I can handle, and maybe more than what some of those other people can handle, because the scope of it is so big and what I'm trying to do. So I can't give the time that I really need to put into it because of the type of work that you really need to put into it to get what you need to get done. It is probably out of the scope committee. Out of the scope of the committee. That's just my opinion. But I like what Brian is saying, that maybe we bring it back to the board, the advisory committee, bring it back to the board of what we can do and what staff can do. Not, at minimum, not dictating this is everything we want to do, but in a way that we can all work together. But I think that the partnering is good, and for some other things, that's why we changed it, where people from the MIA would join, just as long as there were no citizens, town citizens that were in town limits was not on the list. People could serve in the MIA because we couldn't get enough people. So I think the bigger concern that I have is why we can't keep and retain, why we can't retain and engage people on the committee. I certainly don't think it needs to be anymore, but there's a retention and engagement. So when people get on it, they don't stay, and then when they're in it, they're not really engaged in it. I think it's a resume builder or something like that. So I think that's the bigger task of finding why we can't get people and keep people on these committees. I certainly don't think we need to add any more or add the number to make it, because none of them are fully staffed right now. None of them are fully not staffed, but none of them are full, but the cultural arts committee. The rest of them still have vacancies. So again, so we're not repeating the same thing. I think I've said all I need to say for tonight.
I'll jump in again. Tying into recruitment, I do know that at one point we had conversations about doing some type of recruitment event of some sort where we kind of advertise the committees, or some kind of fair or something where maybe the committees would serve as a vendor and we engage the general public to come out. And maybe that's an opportunity for you to explain to people what the Veteran Affairs Committee does, to explain what the Historic Committee does, Appearance Committee does, Prime Movers, and we advertise it very heavily. We invite the general public, and we actually promote it as we need your help. We need volunteers from the community. I know we had talked about it. I don't think we ever actually did it, but it made me think about it, Mayor Pro Tem, when you said recruitment. It's almost like a recruiting tool to engage the public, to say, hey, we have a couple open slots. We have a very large veteran population, and I do agree what's going on, and we can't retain people. when we have a very large veteran population, but a veteran affairs committee that we can't fill slots for. Maybe we think outside the box and come up with some kind of recruitment tool or some type of event.
You know, I forgot about this. Guess what? We used to do that. What's that Tuesday night thing that Thursday night thing we used to do? Thursday night out? We will set the tables up, you have the food truck.
Yeah, food truck rodeos.
We recruited. Now, I can't speak for anybody else, but the veterans recruited. And here's another thing that you got to keep in mind. Sometimes it's not the recruitment, it's the retention. And you know why you lose them? Because they're not doing that. Seriously. I'm not going to call the individual name out, but he walked in to one of the meetings. He said, man, I'm not going to do this. I said, why? He said, I'm wasting my time. He said, I can sit at home and waste my time. But like you just said, give them a list of things. Have them give a list of things they want to accomplish. But they got to understand, if you want to do some things, you got to do the work. You got to maybe even go out and do a little fundraising. That's what they have to be willing to do. Some of them will be willing to put the work in. Some are not. I'm going to tell you that right now. But those individuals that sign up, you let them on the front end. Listen, you signing up, you're coming in to work. Because we want to put you to work. And it does work. But that night when we did the food truck thing out here, I'm telling you, we used to have a waiting list of folks that wanted to be on the Veterans Affairs Committee. Matter of fact, hey, not a problem. Matter of fact, we had to round some off because they was on it too long. Get off the thing. Let somebody else come on board. So it's there, but we just got to make sure we make it work for us.
Thank you, Briley.
I was just sitting there thinking, I remember I was not really active on the committees or anything until 2019. And I came in kind of like right towards the middle of 19. But in 2020, I remember we had a ceremony. Can you hear me okay? Or is that somebody going off? I remember we just had this little ceremony, the first meeting. Maybe some of you remember it. And we all got little buttons for town. And we all got up together as a committee. And we all took an oath and a pledge. And I know for some people they say, oh, it's hokey or whatever. No, for me, that really meant something to me. I'm like pledging my service to the town for these 2 years. And I remember if we had new members come in, they would invite them to the meetings. They would be brought up and introduced, you know, and things like that. And it's just small items of recognition, small things of recognition, I think, that are going to help you keep members. I do agree, though, in a way with Commissioner Craven. Let me tell you why. Because, like, we do some big projects. And let me tell you, it was not fun that Sunday afternoon when me and Teresa and one of my friends were out there hanging 350 feet of garland on that church fence. But I have an older, well, and this is a problem too, and I hate to say it, I'm older too, I'll be 65 in September. You can't do it at 65 like you did at 35. And we're not getting a younger crowd to come in and help. And we really need to kind of gear this more. In fact, I was so happy the other night at my meeting, the lady came, she had seen my little page, you know, that I have for the historic preservation. And she was really excited. I was like, oh my God, she's under 40, hooray. You know, I'm like, wow, work muscles. But we should concentrate more. I think that the people we have, I know like Tina's been on committee a long time, really. Sally Bailey, you've probably been on every committee there is in town.
50 years.
And the people that, you know, the ones that have served and served and served and served, we're here. But we need to concentrate on getting, and here again, the town's grown. We went from what, 5,000 people to 17,000 or something in less than 10 years. And there's people out there, I get them all the time. What is this about? What do you do? What's the story? What's that? What's this? And I don't know what the answer is as far as getting information out. I don't know if it's social media. Certain aspects of social media give me heebie-jeebies, but it's just somehow we've got to reach out to the newer citizens that don't know the history of Hope Mills, and I think that's across the board, all the committees. But I think by doing little things, and I know to a lot of people maybe a little button and the handshake from the mayor and the board of commissioners doesn't mean anything, but to me it did, and I'm sure there's other people out there like me. But my point being, I think 7 members is great. Maybe we could have
like they do on the Board of Adjustments, alternates or something. Because when we have these bigger projects, and we have older members like me, and I won't say how old everybody is, but I'm saying it helps. All the extra hands really, really, really help with some of the larger projects. So I don't know if you would consider doing that, putting in like a, but there's a big difference when somebody says, yeah, I work with the HPC, then I am a member of the HPC. And I know that might not, that little distinction, it's something to people. I am a member of.
It's valued.
So that's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cravel?
Chancellor, I think when I first came on the board, I talked to you about how we could increase the committees and have like a volunteer fair, where, just like you were saying a while ago. Why would we do that now if we are only going to have 7 members and this committee only needs 1, this one needs 2? I mean, that would be a lot of money to spend out to just put 1 person on the board.
What?
It was like, excuse me, it's like any other organization. You open it up, the Shriners Club, the Kiwanis Club. I'm sure all of y'all don't vote, do you, on all the stuff? You appoint your board, you vote in your board, and they are the ones that will do the voting and all that. And if you want to go back to the chairman, and you've seen this too, the same chairman is elected over and over and over, where I've read somewhere in this, they can only serve like 2 years at the time. But there's nobody else on the board that wants to serve as the chairman. So we're breaking that bylaw or that ordinance because there's nobody else that wants to be the chairman. So you keep re-electing that person over and over, and maybe these other people have gotten where, well, gosh, I don't like that person anymore, so I'm going to quit. So that's why I think if we increase the number of people, then that would help tremendously. I remember the first committee I served on here when I moved here was the Hope Mills Beautiful Committee, which is now the Appearance Committee. We had couples on that. We did so much for this town. We raised our own money. We built the gazebo. We did that whole park out there. And it was fun because you had more people. The husbands, the wives could be involved in it as well. And that's why I don't know why we can't have couples on our committee now if the husband and the wife want to join together. We have on the HBC and Sharon. On the HBC, you know, I hope her husband comes and just sits.
Yes,
And he helps. So if we could open it up to say, let them join as well, because most of the committees around here are made up of women and not the men, and there's a lot of times that the women need men to help.
That's why we should do that. We used to do husband and wives. We had, how many, Tina? We had what, 4? We had about 4 husband and wife teams on there. Then one of the commissioners decided that, we don't want that. So that's when we changed. That'd be about 2016, something like that. And we pushed, yes, when you left. And we lost a lot of support then. Because there was husband and wives on the serve together. And they, for some reason, they felt that, well, they can't be independent. The husband and the wife can't vote against, for some whatever reason. And we lost that battle. But it was there. Something else that you got to take into consideration too. Every time you have these committees, if you want someone to step up and serve as chairman, the chairman that's in position, I need to say, hey, listen, I'm going to stay here and help you the first year. I'm going to work with you. Right chair, left chair. Take Ann. She just took over CCBC for me. And I said, listen, I got you. Right chair, left chair. I will not abandon you. I will make sure that you be successful. She have a problem, I execute. She need help, I execute. So we gotta be willing to let those individuals know that we will stay there with them and help them be successful so that they, in return, do the same thing for the next one. That all the workload is not gonna be on them. If you do that, I guarantee you will see more folks step up to take the lead in some of these committees. I think I'm done with all this.
Really, you know, one of the husband and wife memories that I have is all the work that the Clarks,
Right.
Jim and Jean Clark both, and they served not only on Veterans Affairs Commission, they served on many of our town committees, either direct or indirect, on all of them. Commissioner Controller.
I think it goes back to, so with the numbers of people to volunteer on committees, I think that it all goes back to the bylaws, because, you know, even reading through the actual ordinance, it has nothing, the ordinance does not control what the individual committee bylaws. So, because I know currently one of the discussions with my committee was that, because we're having such a struggle to get military members or family of military members, they were wanting to consider opening up our bylaws to allow any military supporter. And so, but that all comes down to the bylaws. So essentially each committee has that control, not necessarily the town board.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McBride.
I'm really gonna try not to repeat myself. However, I do, thank you, Mr. Brown, I do have a husband and wife team on my cultural arts committee, but I think what we're describing is a lack of community engagement and volunteerism. Is not adding numbers to a committee. Like, we can work with these schools. You get kids at the end of the year always talking about they need volunteer hours, all kinds of stuff. And I tell them, I'm not writing a fake letter for you because it's too much stuff. I post too many things in the community for you to be involved in, for you to come back saying that you don't have hours. But it's a lack of community involvement engagement. I don't know what happened in 2020. 2019, I got elected. 2020, I served as in your position, the Commissioner Kramer, for 4 years. We had a room of people lined up in there to watch and see who I was going to put on committees.
Right.
People upset because they couldn't get on the Veterans Affairs Committee, and as Parks and Rec Committee, you couldn't get a seat in it because as soon as something opened, somebody else was there. So now all of a sudden, we got all these vacancies when people were competing to get on them before. So what has changed so significantly since then? But that's a lack of community involvement engagement. It's not that you add people to it. You need people to help you do that. Like in my division, it's a real big division, so we have committees. When we do a graduation thing for our graduates, you on this committee. When we need help going through evals for graduation, you do. I need you to do this during this period of time. And that is what those people focus on, those individual tasks when we need them to do it. Now, they might take them all year to plan it or work on it, but they're put into place when we need them to serve in those different capacities. But we have a lack of engagement. The problem, not adding people to a commitment, changing the numbers. We need to get more people engaged in our community in some kind of way. We have lost it. I don't know if it happened during COVID. We were doing the food truck rodeos then. It was a good time to advertise. I don't know really what happened, but we have lost that, I think. So I'm not gonna repeat myself again. Thank you.
COVID, you don't have to repeat it no more.
You don't have to blame it all on COVID, though. I think it's simply a matter of people. As many issues came up during that time period, and I think the community in many ways was split. It was a political, I'm sorry to say it, but it was political climate, it was tensions, it was ethnic tensions, it was COVID, it was just so much came together in this perfect storm during that time. And even our country is still divided. So, it starts to quote Ronald Reagan, but it does, it trickles down. And it starts at the top, and you see all this division at the top, and then it goes down in the community. So, somehow we've got to band together and show a solidarity in the community, activities or something, but that's what people are missing, is the solidarity in their community. I'm sorry, I spoke up.
Okay. Commissioner Stroller?
I agree with what you're saying, because even with the veterans, not the Veterans Affairs, with the VFW American Legion, recruiting just even soldiers now to join these, different, fraternities, sororities, clubs, whatever. It's a struggle now. It's a big issue nationally with those, the military groups to try to get, new soldiers into it. So the struggle is a big issue, so.
Okay, I think, this has been a 40-minute conversation on, item A. Before we move on to item B, we'll ask the board to look at, in their package, rule number 39. That's from our rules of procedure, committees and boards. And that's rule 39, rule 40, and rule 41. If there is any changes that the board would like to make to rule 39, 40, or 41, this would be the opportunity to present those changes. And I do think on item H, the temporary or ad hoc committees, they worked very well years ago. I know I was on one of them, Lake Advisory Committee. If there's no changes proposed and we keep it the way it is, we'll move on to item B, which is Appearance Commission. And that's under tab 2. And the liaison for the Appearance Commission is Commissioner Jerry Legg. You notice under the packet, we have a copy of the ordinance that references the Appearance Commission. And before we get too far deep down into the agenda with all the committees, the way this packet was put together, the credit all belongs to Ashley, because she went through and brought everything together and packaged this agenda up. And that's probably one of the most comprehensive packages that we've seen in quite some time, to detail and highlight what the committees are.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to acknowledge the work that you put into this.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Legg?
if I may, I think that the appearance that we're talking about now is probably one of the smoothest running committees that we have. You know, we have some openings, but they have a lot of good ideas. Stuff needs to be done. They just need help. Like I said at the last board meeting, they need help with decorations, help with flags. That's no good now. July 4th is past. But they just need help when the time comes. But Miss Odom and Sharon and some of the people out here, Miss Bailey, some of the people that do a lot of the work on those committees that we're going to talk about, need to have a good hand on the budget request and be able to get some funds when they need.
Okay, Commissioner Legg? Any other comments from board members? Tina, you have any comments? You're the chair of the Appearance Commission.
In regards to this, we have been trying to do this. And yes, it was COVID that stopped us from doing this, because we found it, Marie and I actually found it before, and then COVID hit. So we couldn't do anything. So now we're trying to get back to what our powers and duties, or what has been governed. I've been trying to get an actual full explanation of exactly, I mean, Marie and I can kind of understand it, but I want to know, maybe by the town attorney, exactly give the powers and duties, give the description of exactly what we think, if we're on the same page. So we can do this. and it get read through by everybody, so like initiate promotion system and information of programs of general community beautification in the town. We got, really came and talked with me about an issue that we need help with, or for the town to look at beautification, the row houses, the mill houses on Elsa. Getting that taken care of. We're working on not just particular 4th of July decorations, we're actually working for patriotic decorations to get that back, because I guess they used to do it, really, to decorate the town for patriotic.
Yes.
Yeah, so they used to do it, so,
I'm actually, I was
and you've got Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Patriots Day, days like that, to do that. So that's another thing we're looking for, in regards to, you know, activities. We have now set up where we go to vendor events here. And Miss Marie's been working on a brochure of what we do to get engagement, to let people know we're out there. So, but yeah, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to implement this, and I'd like to know exactly what we can and can't do, what. So that's another thing to get a hold of and talk with somebody.
Tina, if I was to ask you, in your own words, what's the main mission of the Appearance Commission? What's the mission of the commission?
Improve the appearance of Hope Mills and keep it nice, beautiful.
And what does that look like?
Making sure that, you know, things are kept up. Maybe, you know, the decorations of the town, making it look not, you know, nice, uniform. Especially anything like maybe wherever things are, businesses that come in, not just, and I'm sure they have to put in site plans and surveys and show you what it's gonna look like, but things that will help beautify the area. If they're gonna put trees in there, make sure they kind of put trees in there that's not blocking views, or how they're, you know, stuff like that to make people maybe, you know, or even help with downtown, helping with that, making the town and people think of it, hey, look, I just went through this. Making it pretty.
And also, citizens adhering to the ordinance. And we, try and get them to follow through on the ordinance and keep their yards a certain way, cars and stuff out of the yards. We have tried several times to meet with the town, attorney, so we could find out exactly what we could do, that was legal for us to do. Never. We have been since 2016, I think we've been trying. And we've tried several things, and to meet with people. No one would listen, talk to us. So Tina and I went out on our own and investigated to find the ordinance and what the ordinance was. And so Tina said, Tina, look, this is not just about planting flowers. I said, this is real work. But we couldn't go, and we was headed that way until the pandemic, and everything just fell apart from that, and we're just now kind of getting back to where we were, and it's difficult, it's hard, because we can't talk to anyone. It's just like I've been trying for, I don't know what, months to get, money. And I can't go. When we go to the Laredo so I end up buying myself to get rid of
Okay. Thank you.
I know, but we are working.
We're gonna address the money
I got a question. I got a couple questions. I think Chancellor probably got the answers, but I know we're working with HPC on, them becoming a commission. So the appearance, it says appearance commission. Are they a true commission?
Yep.
So if that's the case, and I think Chancellor gonna speak on it. Chancellor can facilitate scheduling something with the attorney, can't you?
Yeah, it's several things I'd like to do. And some of this, we're gonna have to start thinking outside the box. Not just for parents, but I mean, all this stuff. And there's two things I think would pump a lot of energy into the parents committee. I would like to engage them with Public Works on the gateway signs. We have 4 gateway signs, and it's a small collection of landscaping right at the base of it. It's currently maintained by Public Works. I think it'd be great to put that in your hands in conjunction with Public Works. The CGI group that did the branding videos, I just found out they have a banner program where they let us design banners that will go all throughout the town on light poles, no cost. I think that'd be an amazing project to interface them with the parents community. If you're talking about Ellison Street, I would like to engage you guys with code enforcement so that there is a legal side to code enforcement with junk cars, cutting grass. I would like to explore what would happen if you're adding that appearance layer to it, to where if we can get, because code enforcement is the police of that piece, but you're talking about beautification. Maybe we can enhance the Yard of the Month program. I think, do y'all do that?
We did that,
Okay.
but we're getting participation,
Yeah.
so
We couldn't get any participation.
From the
we
city.
even offered, gift cards and still, gas cards, still no participation.
But some of those ideas, the CGI program, I can meet with you guys tomorrow. I can set up something with Dan, things of that nature. But when I look at some of these committees, I think of stuff like that. If we were talking about prime movers, we were talking about possibly, we did expand the bylaws to allow people outside town limits. We had talked briefly about the fact that the youth association, Mayor's Youth, had been dismantled. Well, could you expand the bylaws to allow younger people below the age of 18, which would bring in the high school population? You have high schoolers trying to get volunteer hours. Now, all of a sudden, you've merged the group of people that used to serve, because what I've been told too, a lot of those parents wondering what happened to these opportunities for these high school kids to be engaged with the town. That's a perfect way to think outside the box for prime movers. What I'm talking about with the CGI and the gateway stuff, in addition to what you guys are doing with the lights with Parks and Rec, now you're plugged in with Parks and Rec, Public Works, and code enforcement from a beautification standpoint. So that's something that I would love to do. I can start that this week.
Man, I'm sorry, to add to that, it kind of, how have they not been able to get up with the attorney or somebody that long has not made that connection for them? I mean, how did that happen? That's what I mean, I know you can facilitate it now that we know about, that's the first I heard about it.
That's my first.
I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know that there was not an understanding, on the roles and responsibilities, because a commission is something totally separate from a committee or advisory board. So we definitely need to, I don't know what we gotta do.
No, I'll talk to them tomorrow.
With mine, you know, taking it as a civilian, my interpretation is gonna be different than technically what the legal interpretation.
What the legal, that's what we
So
want
with
to
the
do.
commission comes a lot, like you said, with the commission comes a lot more responsibility and a lot more of your committee taking lead.
And we've been trying.
That's what we thought, but we just wanted to hear it from the legality side, because we didn't want to, step out and do something and then.
Man, I'd like to ask them to make, I'm sure they know how to get up a chance, but I'd like, if the board's like, I'd like for them to.
What's going to happen is when you say commission and the sport in the sense of the HPC, the bylaws give them authority to issue approvals of certain things. It's called certificates of appropriateness. What I need my own legal interpretation on with the appearance committee is, what are they given the power to approve as it relates to? Is it something where things need to go to them for their approval? Because that's what a commission does in my term. So I'll talk to Dan about that to get that legal opinion, I understand they are a commission, but I think they're asking too, what does that commission status give them the legal authority to do?
I think
according to the ordinance, that we're supposed to be consulted on all declarations, et cetera, planning and everything before it's done.
there's a lot of overlap between the committees,
Yeah.
and it has been throughout the years between HPC, Parks and Rec, especially when you're talking about decorations through the town. I think one of the first steps is to schedule a workshop of the committee along with Dan. I think that's where, yeah, just like we did with HBC. I think that's the very first step that we do, because you guys are a commission. And you follow the state law reference, which is, General Statute 168-451, which is the authority to create an appearance commission. So I think the first step is a workshop of what you guys envision your mission to be. What are your objectives in accordance with the established ordinance that we have now? I mean, what's in bounds, what's not? What's the parameters?
Right.
What's the boundaries? And I think that's
what we've been trying to.
and that is where the workshop is the first step to do that. And Chancellor can facilitate what date that'll be with availability.
I promise you this board will get it straight.
And you have our support. You have this board support.
Yeah, you got the support, boy, I'm sure we'll get it straight.
Go ahead.
And like Brian had brought up before, as far as giving, committees taskings and making sure they're on their mission and stuff like that. And I think that a lot of that comes down to, and I'll be guilty of it too, it comes down to us as liaisons, as commissioners. Because if we're the link between the town staff and the citizens and the committees, if we don't have any guidance to give, we're just as bad as anyone else, that if we can't give guidance. So, I'm guilty of it too. I have no good ideas for the Veterans Affairs Committee, but like I told the Sharon, I was like, hey, why don't we do a haunted Hope Mills? I may have ideas for other committees, but not necessarily my own. But it comes down to we have to make sure we're engaged with our committees as well. And by all means, if and this is not just to you guys because you're standing up there, but for anyone that's listening, if your committee is not feeling that they're getting anything resolved, please go to the liaison. If you feel your liaison's not handling it, like a chain of command, go to the mayor. Go to another commissioner if you don't feel like they don't want to talk to me. Maybe they can talk to Dr. McCray. And and if they feel they would feel more comfortable talking to the staff first, that's their prerogative. But I want to do the best we can for our committees and for our town. So, we're here for you. We're here for you.
I mean, I'm on this committee, the appearance committee, and to get people to move here, it would be nice to, hey, come look and Hope Mills. How am I going to sell them a house? So it's like Hope Mills, beautiful.
Real quick.
Hey, look in this house.
Please, everyone, silence your cell phones. My ADHD is going crazy.
Boom.
I'm sorry.
Both of them correlate, so.
Speaking of funding this year's budget, the board moved all the funding out of the lines into the governing body. We did that because one of the main reasons we did that is because we wanted to see where all the funding was from all the committees. So with that said, the chairs work with the liaisons for any amount that the board needs to spend of the $5,000 that's available to the committees. If we take out all these other middle people and we work directly with the chair through the liaison, which presents whatever the committee request is for funding. So that's the easiest, it's the simplest way to go. Some years ago, chairs at different meetings during the month, chairs were briefing the board and the public on their committee activities. The chairs. And somewhere we got away from that. I know I was part of that when I served as chair of the Lake Advisory Committee, stood right there, and at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, to brief the board and the public on the activities of the committees. instead of the liaisons doing it, the chairs actively did it. And maybe that is something for recruitment and retention that we go and look back to. And would the chairs be opposed to briefing the board on your own activities, your challenges, the great things that's going on, the things you need resources for?
Yes, I think it should be fine. We can either have the chair or the co-chair come in and it used to be the last meeting of the month.
It's always the second meeting of the month. I'd like to go back to the chairs and the co-chair to brief the board and the public. I really would. I think it's a part of that recruitment, part of that retention.
Mr. Mayor, it's actually in the bylaws that they're required to give quarterly reports. And at the same time, every committee chair get together and put together the list of things they expect to do and accomplish throughout the year. They give them gauges to things to be accomplished at the same time, regardless whether they're a committee or commission. The responsibility can still fall back on you all, because y'all are the ones that are responsible for whatever they do.
That's excellent, really. Tina, outside of you and a couple of members of your committee, who in the community knows what resources you need? Think about that. Who knows?
And I know.
Who knows what goals and objectives are you looking for between now and the end of the year, or even this time next year?
Well, I would say when Rudy was our liaison, we got excellent help from him, and he would fight for us. And give us good advice on how to go about doing certain things when he was commissioner. So he did help us
Brought up
All right. Okay. Commissioner Graber?
Have any of you gone back to our town charter? Because I think I was reading over it, and in the town charter, it actually has the appearance commission and all the duties. In fact, I ran off a copy, Sally. Didn't I send that to you to give to Tina?
Yes, ma'am.
And didn't you read over it, and it showed a lot more things that y'all can be, that could do, because I remember Sally said, well, we don't do any of this stuff. So I would say we need to consult with our town charter and see what is in it.
That has been changed. It's actually been coded twice, 1985 and 1999. So it was updated last in 1999.
But it wasn't for the committees. If you look in 1985, that was to change the town manager from having to live within the city limits. And that's how, right now, even though our ordinances said he does, he's gone back for our town charter, and I even discussed this with him. He has a right not to live within the town limits, because our town charter says that. That is what the 1985 change was. Just because it has those two things on there, it doesn't cover that part. There's only been two changes that's been ratified by the state to change the town charter, and the town manager not having to live within the city limits is one of them.
Those codes from 1999 General Statute 2-192 is what I do, because that's a general statute. So.
But those are generals. We're talking about the town charter, not the general statutes, not the town ordinances, but our town charter, what it says.
This might be an issue for Dan. This is an issue for Dan.
Mr.
Do have some. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did just want to clarify that any of the restrictions that staff goes by in terms of the meeting times, the amount of members that can be on the committees, are all at the pleasure of the board. So some of the suggestions are maybe not necessarily for staff or the board member or the committee members, but a decision that has to be made among you guys as a collective. We do and operate based on whatever is put before us. So we don't necessarily make any decisions other than what we have to go by.
Thank you, Ashley. And with that said, so far, the board is holding 7 members per committee
I
and
do,
5.
Mr. Mayor, I do have something for, Ms. Tina and Ms. Marie. I think a lot of the things in the Cultural Arts Committee overlap as well, to preserve and enrich the heritage of other towns. So I'm not gonna give my entire presentation because you all are here, but we want to have some murals on buildings and we want to have some, crosswalks with decorations and, I've been wanting to work on those gateway signs and have like, some of the art sculptures there. We've been talking about like when we have the roundabouts, making sure that it's, it has some kind of,
Yeah, we had discussed that as well, because.
Yeah, so it's
Might be something to plant back for what,
yeah, so
back that actually.
some of those things, I feel like because it all is supposed to enhance the town.
We even have a new sign for the lake that we've had it, I think it was pre-COVID. And we wanted to get it to where it looks, like the water, kind of get it painted where the way the wood is, to kind of give it the ripple effect of the lake. But we haven't put it up because they're supposed to work on that bike path, on that sidewalk. And instead of putting new posts and putting the new sign and then turning around and tearing it out for the new sidewalk that I thought was supposed to be done.
Yeah. And electrical equipment that's exposed, we wanted that, something put there in front of it to distract from the wires, some flowers or something. We've been doing that. That was pre-COVID. But
yeah, and benches, we've been working on putting benches, and a lot of the new benches are from, the Appearance Commission at the lake. So even something like that, and, but yeah, I mean.
Because and that was our concern with some of the crosswalks, but so much road construction is gonna go on, and hopefully if you don't want to put something somewhere that they're gonna, DOT is gonna turn around and have to tear it up. And, even the artwork that Roy Young wants on his building, that's why I think we need to talk together, because, Sharon, what is the picture? Isn't it a picture of the lake, a picture of a lake or something?
It's like a silhouette of the town, like an overview sort of the town, and it features like the lake and you see, from what I had seen, Dr. Rayner's, the Old Town Hall building, and kind of an overview of the landmarks that people would recognize.
The skyline kind of thing, so.
But making all of these things connect, but I do want some other opportunities for some murals of the historic part of it, the appearance part of it. And I thought that's what the committees was like supposed to do, but I think there's some areas where we overlap and we all can work together.
we work very effectively with the, recreation. Parks and Rec, we work great with them.
Okay.
All right, any other comments about the Appearance Commission? We thank you. Moving on to item C is next, Board of Adjustment. I'll give this one to Chancellor. I don't think there's any changes with the ordinance.
No, we currently have an open seat for the chair, but I think ultimately Mrs. Hamilton is the vice chair. We haven't had a meeting because this board only meets when an actual special use permit or a variance has been filed. We haven't had one filed, and so I do think that whenever they do have a next meeting, they'll go through procedures of officially naming Mrs. Hamilton the chair. But I don't think there's anything to do as of right now with this board. They're perfectly fine. We hadn't heard of any problems that they've had. I think the last special use permit that they granted was for the T.J. Robinson Center about 2 years ago. But we do have to make sure, and this one has to stay in compliance with the number of seats because it's by ordinance and by general statute. So we don't have the luxury of having this one with vacant seats beyond 5. But as of right now, I don't think there's anything motion needs to be done for the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you, Chancellor. We'll move on. There's no changes for Board of Adjustment. We'll move on to item D, which is Cultural Arts Committee. And the liaison is Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McCray.
Thank you. I've already mentioned some of the things that we would like to do. I did reach out to all of the art teachers that are in this area back in, I think, April, to find out ways that, because we thought that was like low-hanging fruit. You wouldn't need money to do that, to see if there was ways that we could help partner with them, maybe with some of their art shows here, having some of the children, you know, some of those children are some really great artists. I thought that having town hall, Parks and Rec, we could really use some different art, and for children to be able, and parents to be able to walk in and see their children's art displays, we thought was very important. However, I had one art teacher reach back out to me, and that was the Rockfish Elementary. She actually came to the meeting, and then they went into the summer. So I was going to reach back out to her to find out ways that we can continue to partner. Probably sometime this month. We also discussed maybe doing some town Christmas cards, a Christmas cards contest, where we can have citizens or children to participate. Because y'all cut my budget to $5,000, and I don't know what y'all think I'm gonna do with $5,000. When it's gone, it's gone. Because one piece of art, one art piece could cost $15,000 or $5,000. There are grants and things available, but again, I didn't have time to sit and search for them all day long. So we did Juneteenth. We didn't do Juneteenth. I had Chance and Lamarco work with me on Juneteenth, and when Ms. Shannon was talking about unity, I think a lot of I'm not going to use this as a history lesson, but it's not a divider. Juneteenth freed the people, the Independence Day freed the land. So it is something that we all should be celebrating. We can celebrate all of the holidays together. It's not one or the other. So that was an education piece, hopefully, that I was hoping to bring into the community. It actually worked out very well, but there are other missing opportunities where we can help enhance and bring culture into our community. It is plentiful. There's so much to do, so much to think about, but I think trying to go back and forth with Roy and his artists that did some murals in Spring Lake, had a hard time doing that. Roy had some personal things come up. She didn't come to last meeting, he didn't come to last meeting, so I was gonna try to see if I can roll them over into the next meeting, because then you have to go through and find out how much it costs and what is needed, and it's his building, so I had to kind of go along with what he wants to put on his building. So it's, like I said, it's a lot of work, it's a huge undertaking, and there are a lot of good ideas that we have, but when that $5,000 is gone, it's gone. Oh, no, ma'am, I'm not a fundraiser.
All right. So no change to the Cultural Arts Committee. Next is item E, Historic Preservation Committee currently. That liaison is Commissioner Brian Marley, and of course the chair is present.
You know what you do. You ask them questions.
Mayor, I'll speak on, I know that, we're still working through the process to make that a commission. So that's still in the works. I know they've got a lot of ideas and stuff they're working on. They're a very active committee. They're a small committee, but they're very active. They do a lot. But I'll let Ms. Reeves speak or answer any questions anybody has. But like I said, we are still working toward getting them to stay there as a commission.
From my understanding, and I've spoken with Ms. Reeves about this, is they just need the motion to be a committee in order for them to start the whole process. Or commission, sorry, did I say commission? Yeah, so can we potentially do that, is just make the motion that they be the commission?
Point of order, you guys did that already.
Okay,
So you, at the last board meeting, y'all agreed and approved the motion to move forward with the process.
So
what we're doing now is you have to do the drafting of the ordinance amendment that actually has to be approved through the zoning process, where you have to 160B. I think there was a draft that was
But so shouldn't we have the original commission?
Well,
you have the original.
Actually, but the original, if it's in the packet.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You see it number 2019-03. That was the original commission ordinance. And that's the one that needs to go through zoning.
Yes, but what I'm getting at is there's a 160D update.
Yeah.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. So when we say go through the process, that is the zoning process that you authorize us to begin. So there's no more motions from you guys. So you effectively approve them becoming a commission again.
Okay, there seems to be some confusion on that.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have a timeline that you have to get like a year of.
We have to, one of our requirements is we have to have one full year of meeting
For the CLG.
for the CLG
Yes.
and for the state certification.
Yes.
And like I was telling Commissioner Scarola, if we start that this month, it will be next August before we complete even that requirement.
But I want to point out, you're not an official commission until the ordinance is approved. You guys approved us to start that process.
And that's what
I'm
we
getting
are, is who's drafting the.
That's the planning and zoning department.
Okay, that's where we are.
Because
Then let's set a deadline so we can get them moving as quickly as possible. Is that an idea?
Yeah, because it's gotta come back to us for.
So it has to go to planning board and then it has to come back to you guys. And when it comes back to you guys, that is the approval of the new ordinance and that establishes the commission officially. That's when your 1 year clock starts. Yeah, and so I would say, probably, if we're talking about, July now.
The next meeting is August 19th.
That's the next Board of Commissioners.
Correct.
It wouldn't come to you guys then, it would have to go to planning board.
Correct.
So we're talking, probably, would it be in the end of July, you're probably talking about September planning board, October Board of Commissioners, before we can get it back, because I don't know if we'll meet the deadline for the August planning board.
It has to go to county?
Yes, everything from a zoning standpoint, from an amendment to the zoning ordinance has to go through the planning board.
All right, well, let's just make sure that we stay on that deadline so they can move as quickly as possible.
Understood.
So they can,
How about an update at our August 19th regular board?
Definitely, I can do that.
But even though that it had already been to the original planning board because of that GS update, that all has to be redone?
Yes, because ultimately, and this is a legal opinion too, but when you decommission, I think you decommission a muni code as well. And so all of that has to be redone.
Well,
That's
the other
a zoning.
thing, Sharon, what Chance is talking about, since this original,
I know.
okay, there's been an update to the general statute.
That's my point.
That triggers the whole thing to.
Because what happens is, it triggers new language and new reference sections that have to be updated. Not in terms of the general statute, but that's the references, like for instance, the basic piece, the general statute that talks about the powers of the commission. That's in a different section than the original one that they have now. And so it's just a simple zoning process. It's just language that has to be submitted to planning board. So it's not a difficult thing to do, but that is the process.
Okay, and we'll come back to Commissioner Fravor and then back to you, Sharon.
I don't understand this. They went through all of their a year of meetings. They did everything that they had to do to become a commission. And with one vote of the board back then, stripped from all of it because the board wanted, not just a commission, they wanted all the volunteer committees be a committee. And if I remember right, the Appearance Commission came back and explained to them why they needed to be a commission, and they gave it back to them. However, the HBC were not granted their commission back. So now I don't understand why they had to go through all of that, and the board says, oh no, we don't want you to be a commission, we're gonna make you a committee. And now they've got to go back through that again. It looks like to me that this board could just vote and say, look, we're gonna let you be a commission
I will
again.
point out again, this board does not have the authority to adopt them as a commission without going through the zoning process that is mandated by general statute. The appearance committee is a completely different beast. And so I won't speak to the decision of the board. I'm speaking to the zoning process, the legal zoning process to establish a commission. The Historic Preservation Commission, when it was decommissioned, it was before the 160D. So just that alone, we have to go through that process to reestablish the commission based on the new general statute guidelines. Any amendment to the zoning ordinance, because the Historic Preservation Ordinance is a part of the zoning ordinance, any change to the zoning ordinance has to go through the planning board zoning process. I'm not, the appearance committee is not set up in that manner. And so I would say ultimately the win is the fact that the board has approved the beginning of the process. What we're just talking about now is the zoning process, which is of the fact ultimately just the approval of the language. That's basically it. So what'll happen is tomorrow I'll check what the deadline and schedule is for the August planning board to see if we can get that on that agenda. But it's just us putting the packet together with the new language, submitting it to them. They'll preside over for 5 minutes, recommend it back to us, but you have to go through that process, and it's a 2-month process. First month is planning board, second month it comes back here, and when it's approved here, that's the official adoption of the committee back into a commission.
Well, I just can't understand how it takes all that to do all that, and a board can sit up here and in 2 minutes strip them of all that and make them a committee. That just does not seem fair or right, but I understand the process that you're talking about.
Thank you, Commissioner Craver. Back to you, Sharon. You have anything? Back to you.
Okay, what would you like to talk about? Ma'am?
Can I say something real quick before you move forward? Can we stop talking about why this commission was stripped away and we've all voted and agreed that we can move on, because that's the way we're gonna get progress, because we keep fighting about that. It was a bad time, it was very political, I was a part of that board. Things have really turned and changed the direction. Can we please focus on that so we can get the things done that they need to get done? Thank you.
Amen. I have no problem with moving forward. I just want to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to move ahead and move forward, and I just want to get the commission back so that we can move forward with any projects that we have.
We have the procedure going forward. We have a plan. Any further comments before we move on to item F? Oh.
That's okay.
Oh, you have more comments.
I mean, you know, basically what we have planned, what we have coming up. Our main thrust is always to try to preserve as much of our heritage and cultural heritage that we have in the town, the properties that we have. We are working on our inventory update, and we talked a little bit with Ms. Brantley about maybe we needed to think about consolidating the historic district because so much of the exterior part was gone, had been torn down, and actually having a more compact, not a whole lot, it's just there's a couple of little spots where there's only 1 or 2. And what we could do, once we're commissioned, is we can designate them a local landmark recognized by our town as of relevance and historical importance by our town. That can be done. But as for upcoming projects, we are working, what's it, the 6th is the night out?
Yes,
National Night Out. Then we have the Old Hills Day reunion. Then we will be decorating the chapel and handing out information about that. I would like to, I thought about even maybe starting a Lyceum series at the chapel, maybe once a month, and taking a particular part of history and going over it, and citizens could attend. I don't know if somebody would want to come and hear me talk, but I mean, it's just an idea because, as I say, I got a lot of people asking me questions about the town. they've just moved in and they've only lived here a couple of years. They don't know about all the history. They don't know about the historic buildings that we have. They don't know about the old mill. They don't know about what the dam is. What are those big things that are all funny looking? They're hanging out at Heritage Park. What is that thing going to be there? So I would like to do something maybe once a month where I can engage with the community and help in educating them on the various aspects of the town and the history of the town and Old Mill Town in the South. Any questions?
Mr. Swallow?
Painting of the doors.
Painting of the doors.
The painting of the doors.
I think we're replacing the door, correct?
I'm still waiting on feedback from SHPO. There's a question on, which I don't think it'll be a problem. Typically, she's talking about exterior work. She's talking about construction. But there's a clarification I want to get from SHPO. I think you guys want to paint them red.
Well, they were originally red, and traditionally, Episcopal church doors are red. And I think I've talked about that, addressed that, why they were, but the blood of the resurrection, and that it was also a place during the Civil War that you could go and it was a place of refuge and help. So, and respite.
I asked them that off the record at that special meeting. I just got to reach back out to them.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
From what they said.
Yeah.
I know we talked about the doors. We've talked about the doors for at least 2 years that I know of. And so I was glad that, Chancellor, you brought that up during the meeting. Just follow up just to make sure that we can do that and we can move forward with the doors.
My comment, I still think we need to do Haunted Hope Mills, because when you're talking about, we got some things, I think if you talk about ghosts and you talk about this Civil War town, I think that's gonna really get people, I know I'm engaged with that kind of stuff, so.
Haunted Hope Mills.
Haunted Hope Mills, come on, it's catchy, it rolls off the tongue, I don't know.
Well, I did want to, I wanted it one year, I wanted to do the original English Fall Fertility Festival and have Mr. Marley dress up as our fertility god and carry him down through
I will not be attending that event.
He was not amenable to that.
Haunted Hope Mills.
It rolls off the tongue, it catches your imagination, it makes you.
Just think about all the haunting that goes on in October down at used to go on down Stony Point Fire Department.
Well, they still do. Don't they still do that? They have no haunted house.
I have a ghost, and this is no lie.
Save that for the Haunted Hope Mills.
No, I'm gonna tell you. Do you know that one night my arm was like this, and something slapped my arm?
Well,
and I see him just walking in my house. I know.
Save that story. Save your story. Save that story. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, and then you with the piano and everything. I'm like, yes. See, I'm just throwing it out there, me with ideas.
But I think, that type of project, it would be something I think we'd have to partner with some other committees with. But I like that idea. But I would love to partner with maybe there'll be a Parks and Rec and.
I'm gonna try to get to your committees as well, all pending have my hip replacement and everything. I want to try to get more involved with your committee as well, because I have ideas, like I said, and unless I engage you guys, the ideas will just sit in my head.
Okay. Any further questions?
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
We will move on to item F, which is our new Homelessness Advisory Committee. And that liaison is Commissioner Craven. That's under tab 6.
Ashley, do we not have 2 applications that have come into that committee?
Yes, ma'am, and we're aiming to put those on for our next regular meeting in August.
Okay, maybe we'll have some more before then. I went to this meeting this morning and really was also there. It was a wonderful, wonderful meeting. Representative Jackson had people coming in from the state and the county to talk to the veterans and the disabled veterans and all of their benefits. But they also had this Brian Holiday, who is, I think he's the manager of the, the health care for the homeless vets. And according to him, we have a lot of veterans that are homeless. So I'm gonna set up a meeting with him. He said that he would help me get that started and tell us where we can go for help and this type of thing. But other than that, me working on things like that, is gonna take a while to get that. And we might need to change that August date for the first meeting, because we've got to have some people to meet. So,
You let me know.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner Craven, what do you see the mission of the advisory committee? What's the mission of the homelessness? What do you envision?
I envision us to get them placed and not have to live in woods. And I understand that some of them do choose to live that way. But I want to get people on this board that can help with their mental problems, their health problems. And the one thing I don't know, and I talked to the chief of police, and he is also going to help me with this as well. I don't know how to get all these people together to talk to them to see what they need. And maybe the police can gather them all together. But I think we do need to talk to them and find out who needs the help, who's willing to go to a facility. And that's my vision right now. This problem is never going to be solved. So it can't be an ad hoc committee, because we will never finish it. So, and this is my vision so far, is to do that.
So you're looking at, the committee is looking at establishing a way to provide resources?
Yes.
Okay.
And either we find them some land and do something to house them, with, and with restrooms and showers, and I know that the alms house, they clothe them and they feed them, but I don't know the answer to this, and this is something I'm just digging with. So any suggestion from anybody that knows any of this stuff, I would greatly appreciate the help. But we have to do something, because they're beginning to frighten some of our senior citizens, and they're rambling around in the communities. And I'm not saying it's their fault, but I do know a lot of them are alcoholics, they're drug addicts, and these are the type of people that we've got to find a way to get them to agree to go get help, and we can provide them with the help.
All right. Any board comments with the homelessness advisory committee before we move on to item G? Okay, item G is Parks and Rec Committee, and the liaison is Commissioner Craven. That's under tab 7.
Can I ask a question, or am I not allowed to?
Yep. Come forward. Come forward. Come see Betta.
This is off the top of my head. I don't have it.
I'd like to know exactly how many homeless are in Hope Mills.
I have no idea.
Mr. Mitchell, do you know?
Pretty close. I know.
What is it?
And it's kind of hard this time of year because they're very transient. Matter of fact, last year. Yes, I am.
I know.
Cameron Road.
We average between 5 to 20 in any year. I've never seen anything over 20. Right now, we're pushing about 5 to 10 right now that are transient. Matter of fact, there's a couple, some of them are individuals that have been incarcerated. Some of them it's a lifestyle. I know the one that's a lifestyle. I know our regulars. So when I hear the comment that they are giving someone a hard time, they're not regulars. Our regular individuals that we have that are homeless right here, they don't bother nobody. Plus, I put my middle name on it too. The ones that we have at least 5 or 6 transients. Those are the ones that I watch for. Matter of fact, was it last year? I think it's called Chancellor was listening to you right now. We're gonna have a problem. Because it went down, I seen a whole bunch of movies. Police chief, Darlington went down, they handled it, they cleaned it up, they fixed that. But as soon as you fix it, it's gonna happen again. The best way to fix it, I'm telling you right now, the panhandlers. If we control the panhandlers, we control the homelessness in our area, bottom line. And that's one of the reasons why new ordinance was put out last year to control the panhandlers. If you control that, they control the homeless.
Well, you know, we do have an ordinance that says that we don't allow panhandling.
It's gotta be enforced.
Yeah, and it's got to be enforced. I saw this lady the other day, she's standing there, I'm homeless, I have 3 children, I need money, and you'll see it all along. But the ordinances do have to be enforced in order to help it. And another thing, where they're at now in the woods behind Carly C's, they're throwing garbage all in the lake, and it is going behind people's homes. I mean, liquor bottles and sexual things and plastic stuff, and I mean, just a lot of things that the homeowners are having to clean up around their property.
If they own someone's private property, there's nothing you can do. Trust me, I have went down and tried to enforce it and tried to make, as a matter of fact, I even went down in some areas. But as long as the owners that own the property were doing things, there's nothing we can do.
And that's very true, really, because remember that that lot behind VFW?
Yeah.
That private property, they had permission to stay there.
Right.
There was nothing we could do to remove anyone, and we learned that. And I don't know if they're still there now.
Then I cleaned it up.
But there was, every now and then, that became a magnet because they had permission to stay there.
Who owns that property over there behind Carly C's, do you know? Who owns those woods?
The Harvest Church.
They're Charles
The Harvest
Johnson.
Baptist Church. And they assist them. They assist them with love lunches. They assist them with clothing. One of the things that I wanted to mention is, even though I'm an employee of the VA and I do case management, I have homeless veterans on my panel that I case manage. I work closely with Brian Holiday. I know Brian Holiday, and a lot of the veterans who are homeless, I don't have the data in front of me. A lot of them who are homeless, unfortunately, are sex offenders and drug addicts. And what happens with sex offenders, you can get somebody who looks as normal, relatively normal as me, as a sex offender, and I'm not going to get an apartment. I'm not going to be able to live in your neighborhood. And they have no choices a lot of times.
Because they have to register.
And if they
won't.
No, they do, but nobody will rent to them.
Yep, they don't want to rent to them.
No one will, yeah.
We don't have no homeless veterans in Hope Mills as far as I know, because everyone that comes inside the alms house asks that question, are you a vet? Because once I found their vet, I began to really give them help.
Right, there's a lot of help. If you're going to be homeless, a homeless vet is the way to go, because you have HUD vests, and they will assist with housing. They will assist with finding you an apartment and paying. A lot of times what happens is they're not happy with it because you have to sign you get assigned a fiduciary to manage your money, so you don't wind up in a homeless situation again.
Yeah. Gary, you need to come on this committee.
I know a lot. I know.
Please sign up. So that'll be 3 now that we have. You could be the chairman.
But even as trying to find a place for to find land and build a place for them to live, you know what that's going to create? More homeless, because they're going to say, oh, Hope Mills has a place for us to live. And then you'll get a migration of homeless people. We want to help homeless people, but we don't want to make Hope Mills the town for homeless people. Tampa did that. Tampa did this huge homeless compound. And you know what? It didn't resolve homelessness. It increased it. It had people on waiting lists to get into the homeless.
Right.
So Manor Church downtown on People Street has just opened a homeless shelter. You have Operation Inasmuch downtown that has a homeless shelter. There's a lot of resources, plenty of resources. And it's just a matter of knowing where to go.
Ain't no
What did you,
That's what you gotta understand.
Yeah.
See, I talk to these young bitches, I get in the trenches with them. I got a young man now that I'm mentoring, he just got out of prison. Trying to help them be successful in life, because I'm gonna tell you right now, there's nothing that's out here to set them up for success. And I'm gonna tell you what the guy told me, Mr. Real, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't even, not this young man, but another young man, don't even waste your time trying to help us until we come to you. When I come to you and tell you that I'm tired of being tired and I want help, that's when I need support. That's when I get it. Until then, I'm telling you, I got a mother and son right now. I gave up, I cut them off from this. I have a no crap policy. You come to me and say you need help, I'm going all in. You only get one chance to screw up with me, and I'm cutting you off. I got to move on to somebody that want to be successful and get out of it. So it's a good idea you have right there, but I'm telling you, right, there's a lot of resources already in place. Every time I get a phone call from someone that's a homeless veteran, I probably got a homeless veteran, what do you have? And I put them in contact with those individuals and I walk away.
And sharing those resources.
Right, and I go on to the next one, the next one. I don't need, matter of fact, tell you something that you probably don't know, homelessness. Did you know the day that they do the point in time count? If I walk in and say, hey, listen, I'm homeless, can I sleep on your couch for the night?
You're not counting.
I am not homeless. I am not homeless. You know, tell me, if I'm sleeping in a car, I am
Not homeless, no. And actually,
it is frustrating. So we gotta come up with a real plan.
and also in the town of Hope Mills, which I don't know if you really even realize this, but the TJ Robinson Center has showers for homeless. That if you're homeless and you want to take a shower, they have showers and a barber that comes once a week to do haircuts.
but how did they get there? Yeah.
Homelessness is a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's a full-time job.
And I'm wondering how many of them even know that there are things out there that will help them.
Well,
Listen, I have a shower at the Arms House. You wanna take a shower, let me know, give me a time, and we'll make it happen. Guess what? They don't make it happen.
Do they know that they can go and do it?
Let me tell you something. Out there in the homeless world, out there in the drug world, anything you important, they have the most effective, best communication system in the world. Let me tell you how I know this. I tried an experiment. I say, well, tomorrow I'm gonna serve bologna sandwiches, right? Only 10 people show up. I'm having spare ribs tomorrow with barbecue chicken. I run out of food. No, I'm just telling you, that's real talk.
Yeah.
They have the most effective communication system out there in the world. Out of the past 2 years, I think I've had about maybe 5 or 6 individuals that came in and got showers. I give them toiletries and everything. Just, sir, you got some more toiletries? I just gave you a bag yesterday. What you did with them? They threw it in the trash can. They really did. So I don't make it easy for them. I make it hard.
well, there is also another resource called Outreach, Off-Road Outreach by Stacy Buckner. She provides showers for the homeless. That's how she started. And that's how she started. She now does veggies for the vets, where you my church in yes, Stacy Buckner. My church in Fayetteville, Holy Trinity Episcopal Church, has a vegetable garden for anybody who wants to. You work the garden, and then you can come and take fresh produce. This is another thing. I actually spoke with Brian a few weeks ago about even the possibility of coming to Hope Mills and doing a stand down for the homeless. So, and we can have other agencies give information, and so this way we can count the homeless in Hope Mills. Maybe I'm being really naive, but I don't think there's huge amount. I think there's,
I speak, I think like what you're talking about is what we did for Hope Day. And so you get a lot of community resources together. So it's not mainly your unhoused, it's your people that are hidden homeless, who are living with other people who are not considered to be homeless.
Couch surfers,
Right.
living in their
And,
car.
These families that are one paycheck away, not even a whole paycheck away from being homeless. We live in the Cumberland County as a tier 1 community. So I think what you need is you need community asset mapping to find out who has what in the community and a way that you can help. Because a lot of the homeless people, they're not gonna come to you because you're calling them homeless, which we wanna call them unhoused now. A lot of these people that are hidden homeless do not want people to know they're homeless. Right. So we took the name off of it. That's why we called it Hope Day, because we wanted to provide services. And just because you're not unhoused today, does not mean you may not become unhoused tomorrow. So with this county being like a tier 1 county, the way it is, I think you probably see a lot more of that. Hence, we have so many of these Title I schools. We got kids getting this free and reduced lunch in this area. So that tells you about some of the socioeconomic statuses too. So it was not because I was not passionate about it, but again, it's a huge undertaking. And it's more than just this unhoused, it's the hidden homeless, and then these people that are on the brink of, that live in poverty in this community. So y'all got 15 minutes.
I've read where there are portable.
Commissioner Sorolla had a comment. And then I'll come back to you, Jan.
I think I'm done.
Hey, what?
No, wait, let me speak.
Go ahead, you
Sit down. Sit down or what? Didn't we change the ordinance? I believe the police chief spoke on it, that for panhandling, it was on the property owner now, where if they were caught panhandling on someone's property, it was the property owner's responsibility to remove them or something like that.
I gotta look into that. I do know that the ordinance that we passed was primarily dealing with people that were at stoplights, right?
Yeah.
Trying to stop cars. I will say, just in general, my experience with homelessness in terms of the municipal involvement, because this is a national issue, but the way that I've seen it become most effective is linkage. You're linking them with resources. You're linking them with Operation Inasmuch. Continuum of Care, that's the county group that does the actual counseling. They came to us, we linked them with the Arms House. They gave us pamphlets. We had situations where there were homeless people at businesses like Jersey Mike's. We actually, instead of criminalizing it, we gave the pamphlets to the business owners that linked them back to the Arms House, that links them back to Continuum of Care. But you have Salvation Army has co-ed dormitories now, in as much as food. We do our food jobs here. There's a suite of different things that I feel as a municipality, the best we can do is continue to link them to those services. It's when we try to take on providing the services in terms of housing, things of that nature, that it does become a little bit heavy-handed. But I do think continuing to build awareness with them, to let them know where they can go obtain these services, I think that's the best thing we can do, at least from the approach of the town of Hope.
Chancellor's correct. And there's another source that we have in the town. We use all the ministers inside our minister organization that we work with them, right? There's a lot of things we can and cannot do. So what we do, we lateral it off to someone else that has those capabilities. We have resources that's utilized. Right now, tell y'all right now, is our biggest challenge right now is the new working poor. The new working poor. These are these individuals that no longer can afford the rent because the landlords have escalated the rent. The individuals that are on fixed income, I'm telling y'all now, they are new working poor. I see it all the time. I have started giving money to my church. I am now giving money to individuals that pay for their electric bills and their water bills because they cannot afford it. That is my priority now, is the fixed income athlete, the new working poor. They're not making enough money because they cannot sustain the influx and increase of rent. It's killing them. Yes, they're killing them. Got a family right now. It's doing good. They living in their car now. And I said, wow. He said, yes, sir. We cannot afford our rent, but they put us out. And see, when I do what I do, that's heartbreaking. That's why I have to detach myself from being the person I am, because I see it all the time. So my goal now, when I go find some grant funding, I'm gonna change this system.
Thank you, Gurley.
I'm sorry, I did have one more thing. I did, a few years back, I did the stand down for the homeless at Festival Park. And one of the things that, they were also mentioning that I learned, because I had to go to a meeting before, one of the reasons why there's so much homeless in Fayetteville is because there's so many services and there's transportation. There's the train. Even though it's not a train to transport through the town, it comes to a stop and they jump on the back of the caboose or whatever, the back, and they can ride into Hope Mills. They can ride into Parkton. That's how there's transportation from the train. And also the bus system they'll ride the bus all day long to keep cool. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Karen. The last word will go to you, Commissioner Craven.
I didn't know if we were on the Parks and Recreation. No, I just read where a lot of the cities in North Carolina and around the United States, they actually rent showers. There's companies that put out like our porta potties and things. These companies have like rent a showers, and that they can pour those in there too, and they would come and keep them cleaned and switch them out. And the towns will do it like in the spring and the summer when it's the hottest weather. And that might be something that we could look into if we wanted to help do that and put it out there closer to it. But that's all.
Okay, we'll continue on, and item G, which you're the liaison for, Parks and Rec Committee.
I have nothing really to say. That's the most organized committee I've ever seen. They have their meetings planned. It goes like clockwork. And of course, you know what all they do. They help advise the Parks and Recreation on the different events and things that we have. And all of what they have, they get it put out in form of notifications in on Facebook and different other places. So, but other than that, that's all I have. It's joy to go and we'll just listen to them.
Any board comments? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item H, Prime Movers Committee, and the liaison is Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McCray.
I'll be brief as well, but actually, I guess I should have asked you this ahead of time. So is it counting me and Chancellor as members?
Just you.
See, we had not been doing that before, because we had not been doing it before. My other question is, Maria Rosa, is she a new person? Because I thought she was the one that was not showing up to the other meetings that we removed, but I could be wrong.
She's not new. I don't believe that she was removed. She's just been one of the holdovers since you guys removed the term limit. Actually, her term was supposed to be up, but then when you changed so you have to like actively.
She was not active.
Okay.
So I would need to remove her, and then anybody reach out to Alice and ask her if she still wanted to be.
I have been in touch with her, and she's ready whenever the committee.
So I have three then. So Tiffany, myself, and Allison. Okay. Well, it was a very active committee. I had two groups. They kept me busy, but they were awesome. I really do miss them. I hope I can get that group back together again. But they were some of the most innovative young people that I've ever worked with. So thank you.
Okay. Item I is next, Veterans Affairs Committee, sorry. Veterans Affairs used to be a commission a long time ago. And that liaison is Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. Really don't have much to report. We have reopened seats. the chairman is looking to try to organize an event next year at the golf course. It's early stages of planning, but we don't really have much going on right now. So, as we all know, the Memorial Day and Veterans Day is organized by the VFW, so the Veterans Affairs Committee doesn't have much input into that. But that's why we're working on an outside event at the golf course to try to do something outside of just Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So more to follow, pending any questions.
Any questions?
When you're trying to organize a golf tournament at the golf course?
Negative. No.
We're beyond that point.
Essentially, it's going to be like a veteran military kind of like a community event. It's too early to say exactly what is going to be pulled together. When I talked with Mr. Starling this evening, he's still awaiting confirmation from an individual to see how far we can get with it. So it's still way too early to plan to say what it's going to be exactly, but more to follow.
Okay.
Remarks complete.
Thank you, Commissioner Scarella. Our last item, well, almost last item. Item J is the proposal and consideration of establishing an economic development committee that is under tab 10. Tonight's the opportunity for the board to approve the proposed economic development committee guidelines as in the bylaws of the purpose. And I want to read the membership to make sure that we're clear. The Economic Development Committee will consist of 13 members. The Hope Mills Board of Commissioners will appoint 7 voting members. The remaining 6 shall be non-voting ex officio members of the committee due to the position they hold within the community and surrounding municipalities or businesses. And one of those, of course, would be the president from the Chamber of Commerce, or Hope Mills Area Chamber of Commerce. So that was an example of what one of those 6 would look like. We would also want to have someone from Cumberland County Schools to be a part of the Economic Development Committee. We'd like to have someone from Fayetteville Economic Committee to be part of our economic committee as well, but I'm going to defer a lot of this over to Chancellor because we had this years ago under the Gateway Committee.
Yes.
Until COVID came in and put everything on pause.
I will say, Mayor, that I have already talked to the executive director of the state of Fayetteville, who is eager to get on this committee. FCEDC have representation on the original. There, Rob Patton, the vice chair, he's actually interested as well. You had representation from Cumberland County Planning Department, Ross Howard, and Trey from the Long Range Planning Department was on there. So it's what I liked about it was that gateway study, it was set up of organizations around Cumberland County, but residents as well. And so the framework of how you have this set up is perfect. It's almost right in line with the way that committee was set up.
And it was a working committee years ago. In fact, we met here in this room before COVID, and it was probably one of the hardest working committees, just like the rest of the committees. But it was the sharing of the information. That was probably the keyest part of the Economic Development Committee, because you look at the amount of residential and commercial growth currently in Hope Mills and projected to come to Hope Mills. This is probably one of the only meetings, and it's a special meeting, that we're not annexing property tonight. I had a discussion this past week, and I said, you know, if you go back and you look at the last couple years of how much property has been annexed in Hope Mills, I said, I probably will ask Chancellor to present that, because it looks like every meeting we're annexing more and more volunteer property in Hope Mills. That's residential and commercial growth.
And we have more coming. Oh, you know.
We probably have it tonight, but this is just a special meeting and we can't do that tonight. But anyway, any other comments from the board before I ask for the vote? Do we have a motion to approve the Economic Development Committee bylaws as presented?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Seeing none opposed, we have a new committee, Chancellor, approved tonight. All right, I know originally our board liaisons were Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McCray and Commissioner Fravor. I think we established that back in December. So those will be the two board liaisons that will serve on the Economic Development Committee. Last, under tab 11, is Ashley's metrics. And she put the metrics together of all the committees and when they meet over the next few months, starting, well, of course, this month, July, going into December. Any comments from the board about the metrics? It's informational. Cultural Arts Committee is not listed on here.
That is probably an oversight. The purpose of this was to allow the board to see which committees were meeting and when, so that way when you do establish new committees, you can kind of see what the overlap is, since all of our committees are meeting at the chapel. But the Cultural Arts meets, I want to say, the second Thursday at 6:30. So we can update this. My apologies.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that you did something wrong. I think these are kind of nice to have to put on the refrigerator to look at. Thank you for doing it.
Well, it's that, and it's also, we can share that on the town website as well. So the public, they'll know exactly what type of committees are meeting over the next 4 or 5 months. That's the end of all of our committee briefings tonight. Before we ask for adjournment, is there any further comments from the board or from any of the chairs that are present or any staff members?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to just say that I think maybe I wouldn't necessarily call a separate meeting, and I think that Chancellor's already going to do this, but I would like to spend our time focusing on the phase 2 of the overlay plans, and I think there's a lot of updates and projects that is going on with the county, even though the town manager does do a very extensive town manager report. I think like having some kind of overview of just some things that we're working on, maybe where we're going. Remember when we had that workshop before at the beginning? I think it was at the beginning of the year. I think something like that would be good. Like I said, it doesn't have to be on a separate night. It could be maybe before we have one of our other meetings, but we do have a lot going on. Like they were talking about the bike paths, just getting like some updates on some of these things, even though I do know some of them are listed in the manager's report, but I would like to see us spend some time on that. But other than that, no, I don't have anything else to say. Thank you all for your volunteerism, all the people that serve and work on these committees, and I think it's one of the most active ways that citizens can get involved in their community. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Lane?
Okay, I think it's time for us to have some intermingling with the Youth Association on funding. As you well know, what happened this past week. I was with the Youth Association for 40-some years, and I support the children of our town. These kids pay like $40 a piece to play ball. Why can't we start a fund where, I mean, we administer the program ourselves, so we don't have to give the county any money. And we paid the county $10 per head. if we did that, it would still leave us $30 per kid, except in certain situations with brothers and sisters that don't have funding to pay the fees. But I'm thinking it'll take a few years to do it, but when teams come up and need funding to go where they're going places now, like Louisiana, I've been there, took a ball team there, and I think Ms. Sorensen can agree what we spend on those teams.
I did fundraising for it.
Ma'am?
I did fundraising. We did fundraising.
We did fundraising, and the youth association paid the rest. But now the youth association only has concession stand to raise funds. So, and looking at the figures that the youth association gave, I believe they probably gave everything that they raised in the concession stand to that one ball team. Not considering that we've got probably 6 or 7 other teams going to state level after this team leaves to go to our left when we get correct out. So I don't see anyone here from Parks and Rec tonight, but I asked Chancellor to address that and see if there's something we can come up with. We just can't go into giving funds without being in the budget. And if we have a fund that we can draw from, if they don't use it, it'll build up.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. First, I would like to acknowledge the fact that the team is currently in the championship game right now. I will say that I actually am currently almost finished with the draft of a policy. This speaks directly to contributions to the teams from the town of Hope Mills. That should be ready for you guys at the next August board.
Thank you, Chancellor. I know that's something that we talked about, Commissioner Leggett, is that going forward, we do need to have some guidelines and a policy on how to support our community baseball teams, especially those that go to the World Series.
That's correct.
I mean, for some of these kids, it may be the only opportunity in their life to participate at that level. I know it was for me a long time ago when I was in the Army. I represented Alaska in Plano, Texas, the softball World Series tournament. I've never been back. I went once, and they are costly. But in Alaska, for our team to go, we had a lot of community support, a lot of businesses that came in and supported. And I'd love to see a partnership with our Chamber of Commerce and our local businesses to get behind our kids, because these are our community kids.
Yeah.
They live in our community. Their parents live and work in our community. And to go to the World Series is a special treat for any team. And we should get behind them as a community and help those kids get there to play ball. And I agree with what you were saying. I know back in 21 we had, I think it was a male team that went back in 21, and the town helped them because I was on that board at that point. Not every year will we have a team to go to the World Series, not every year, but the years that we do, just think about the return on investment for our community and what it means to them to be in the spotlight representing their community. That's what it's about. It truly is.
Think about how much funding we could bring in if we had these facilities built over here and did the World Series, and I believe we could get it. I really do. I was in Florida last summer, and I met a gentleman there at a donut stand. I was looking to get my weight back for belong. And we got to talking a little bit, and he asked where I was from, and I told him. He said, "Oh, that place is big on baseball." You don't have to tell them; they know Hope Mills is big on baseball. I don't want Hope Mills to be known just for baseball. I want it to be known for the kind of people we have and the kind of organizations that we have and operations that we have, that would make me a happy man.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Logan.
I have two things. I'll be very brief. I think that the parents and the town can work together and everybody in the community help find these kids, maybe some corporate sponsorship. I think that they should fundraise all year and have the money in the kitty, because it's probably not a matter of if they go, it's probably a matter of who's gonna go. And those funds go to those children that will probably have a team in the World Series, which is good. I pray they win tonight. And lastly, I think that should be a conversation up front when these kids get on these teams. It cost me over $1,000 for my daughter to cheer last year, but they gave me those costs up front. The camp was $300 and something, the uniforms, the shoes, the bags, everything. But I think that needs to be a conversation so parents are aware that if these kids make it here, it could be an extra expense. Like I said, but that needs to be something that's done all year, and everybody should participate in it. And it's a kitty, and the money is split out to those teams that go. But the parents, I know my son played All-Stars and Hope Mills too, and the community took good care of us when we played. We didn't do World Series type, but I know those tournaments and things are expensive, but I think that it has to be an effort on the parents, the community, everybody, and it should be planned all year long for us to support. You could have 3 teams to go. I said 2 minutes. Thank you.
Ms. McCray, I have sold donuts, washed cars behind the Advanced Auto Parts down there, and done a little bit of everything to raise funds. But the parents today are kind of lazy. They don't get out there and do it.
All righty.
So, thank you. I know years back that just like, Kamara was saying, the businesses would sponsor. I know I bought one year, I sponsored the boys team and bought the uniforms. In fact, I have a picture with other signatures on it that they gave to me for that. And, that's when the community did jump in and would happen. I don't know what stopped that all of a sudden, but, maybe we ought to go around and help them with the businesses and say, well, Mark, will you sponsor this thing? Well, but we did used to do that back years ago.
Ms. Kramer, the old saying is asking you shall receive. They don't ask.
You don't receive. And
They don't receive. Let's go back to the old days. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm one
Before we adjourn tonight, I just wanted everyone to know that our August 5th meeting is canceled. That's next Monday, and we have canceled that. Why? Because we had a special meeting tonight, and then on August 13th, we have a huge opportunity for the public to weigh in with some comments and suggestions and recommendations in the rec center. And one of the focus points is soliciting information from the public about our community senior center on the golf course. And after that, our next regular board meeting will be August 19th. And in line with what Mayor Pro Tem Dr. McCray said earlier, let's think about a early start time on project overview update. Let's go with, is 5 okay with the board? 19? It's gonna be hard, I mean. It's our first day of classes on campus, so.
Maybe 5:30 perhaps?
Is 5:30 good?
I mean, anytime works for us, but I mean, to give you guys an opportunity to get here.
5:30, project overview update.
I would like to say, this is, an update briefly about the, NC BMO conference that, Mayor Pro Tem and I attended this weekend. And this is why it's important that we attend these conferences, because of their networking. Sitting at a table at lunch with 2 council members from Fuquay. And they started talking about the senior center that they have under construction right now. The senior center is on an old golf course. in Fuquay. And we have been officially invited to come up to tour that senior center / community center that is under construction right now. And so, I'm coordinating that right now, I'll let you guys know.
I'm pleased to.
But that's something that when you mentioned the 13th, everything we're dealing with right now to gear up, surveys, feedback, they articulated every single thing we're dealing with right now. And that is a success story for Fuquay. So I think that's a very good case study for us. But we have been engaged by them if we want to, whenever we're ready to come down and get a personal tour there.
Let's put that together, because this project is a community project. It's not a board project, it's not a staff project, it's not Parks and Rec project, it is a community project. And that's the way we approach this on the front end.
Mr. Mayor, I went up through there last week to take my wife to eye doctors. I should say right along. And I saw that building from the outside, it's fantastic. It looks like it's from outer space.
Is it larger than our footprint, our proposed footprint?
I'd have to get more details, but I will send a video of it under construction. It does look pretty impressive.
Mr. Mayor, what date was that 5:30 meeting?
5:30 meeting will be August 19th. And our next meeting in the rec center is August 13th at 6 at the rec center. And there's no meeting on August 5th. And National Night Out is August 6th. National Night Out is a big event next week. There'll be 2 of us in the dunk booth. And there's room for others if they want to join us.
I can get in there, but I can't get out.
I think my granddaughter's coming. I think she will be part of it. Okay, it's been an interesting night. About 2 hours and 15 minutes talking about our various committees. I think it was very educational and very informative tonight too. So with that said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Hey,
We're done.
thank you for the war. You all right sometimes, so.
Sometimes.
Check this out.